This game might seem random, and it largely is, but not really to me, because I was first introduced to it when I was at Myongji University in 2017. I was trying out a master's degree there. In the end, I decided it was not for me, but I had some interesting moments there. And one of them was analyzing this game with the help of the Department of Baduk Studies founder. That's Jong Soo-young, a nine-dan professional from South Korea. He showed us this game because he was trying to show us some moves with surprising meanings or like hidden purposes. And right now, White has just played one of them, and that's this move. And what do you think is the hidden purpose behind this move? The players in this game are Bongsoo and Changhyuk. They are legends of Korean baduk, and they both won the In Cup with Cho Hong-hyun and Lee Chang-ho. They formed the four Korean kings of the 1990s, and they dominated not only Korean Go but also international Go. They were the first four winners of the In Cup, and Cho Hong-hyun's win in 1988 was groundbreaking or groundmaking for Korean baduk because it changed the status of baduk in Korea forever. Cho Hong-hyun is incidentally the nemesis or the arch rival of one of the players in this game. Bongsoo is playing as White. That rivalry also represented way more than just Go games, because Bongsoo came from a very poor background and he had to learn Go from a later age. Like he learned Go from 14 years old. So that's super late for a pro player, let alone a world champion, a legend of the game. And he also learned the game more or less in a very practical way. I don't know if practical is the right word, but his style is very Korean salon, Korean dojang like. It's total street fight type of player, and Cho Hong-hyun is more of a maybe classy player. His style is very light and maybe pretty, depending on your taste. And Cho Hong-hyun also had the privilege of going to Japan and studying with professional Japanese players. And he started very early. He became a pro very early as well. And it kind of became a rivalry between a poor and a rich kid. But we need to kind of put a huge asterisk there, because I don't think Cho Hong-hyun was really rich. I think he was well enough off, but maybe compared to Bongsoo, he was rich. I don't know. And they are from the 1950s, so it was a very rough time in Korea at that point. Korea was far from the Korea we know today. It was one of the poorest countries in the world, according to many metrics. So that's the whole context of that rivalry. But we are not reviewing a Bongsoo Cho Hong-hyun game. Black is Yu Changhyuk. Yu is much older than Bongsoo. I think they are 35 and 22 at the time of this game. And again, this game was played some months
before Cho Hoon-hyun's groundbreaking win at the In Cup. Let's get into the review now. So as we can see, Bongsoo already maybe wants to fight. He doesn't even want to give a whole corner to black. And here we have many possibilities of Josekis. And at the time, and I think right before AI, this was the most common one, and that's what's played in this game. But we can also attach here, and black can connect, but this is the more shapy move, and white can continue either here or attaching, and white is already alive. We can also do a Keima directly here, even if black somehow tries to kind of threaten white a bit. White's still alive, and it's gonna take some more moves to really threaten white, and it's not that big to capture this corner at this point with so many moves. Another popular Joseki, especially in the 2010s, was something like this. It's kind of similar to that other variation. This one is possible, but I think it's a little bit worse. It's better to do this one and then do this double hane. Black needs to fix, and we go out. Then there are continuations here. AI doesn't like this one directly, even though it's kind of beneficial. Like first this one, right? And then pull back. We can either play here or here, and AI prefers this one. Yeah, this is one of the possible Josekis. Yeah, moving on to this one. Black could continue with this, and that's what he played in the game. Yu Changhyuk's style is very much an influential style. He really likes thickness. He reminds me a lot of Fujisawa Shuko, but maybe he's even more extreme than Fujisawa Shuko, because he's gonna compromise a lot in order to get very thick walls or very thick strength, or very a lot of strength. Yeah, usually this is more like the Joseki, but we have to be careful about a ladder. We can also revert back to that other Joseki. Sometimes we can counter Atari here, so that's kind of dangerous for white. But anyways, if white cuts, this is the ladder we need to be worried about. And right now, white has this ladder with that stone. Another detail we need to pay attention to is if we have a lot of backup as black, because maybe we could even play something like this. Yeah, if we don't have a ladder, this one is possible. And here white could play this move, and giving out this Ponuki isn't ideal for black. Yeah, there is a lot of Aji still with this stone. Not really Aji, but at least we can reduce this corner. If we Atari here, black needs to go down, white goes down from here, and now black will try to move out these stones, and we can see how this stone can make a difference. It's quite complicated. I won't go too deep into this, but we can, as white, we can simply either die in the corner, like something like this, keep going, and we don't even need to do another move in the corner here. We can keep going around here or here, because black is kind of low. This corner isn't really all that big, and it's not easy to kill it. Usually if white responds like this, then black kills it, but it's gonna take a lot of stones. White could make a compromise, something like this.
and then it doesn't get too big. This isn't good for black. One of the crazy variations AI kind of suggests, I don't know if in this variation exactly with number 20 here, but black could pull back here, and it can kind of get crazy, something like this, I think, like with white moving out around A, black getting B. White is super weak, and the corner for black isn't big, but white is super weak. So there's potential for attacking later on. Yeah, that's not what was played in the game. Black moves out in a simpler manner, and he keeps on moving out. I don't think it's good for black to play here. And here, one interesting question for you is, should white jump or should white keep pushing? If you ask any high-done player, they would immediately spot a problem here. I don't know if they would know how to punish it, but there is a lot of potential for cuts here. The way to exploit this is by cutting like this. As we can see, we managed to cut through the A stone, but on the other hand, white is now as thick can be. The question is actually, how bad is this for white? I would say it's a disaster, or maybe a minor disaster, but this is only a 0.5 loss for white, more or less, maybe 0.6. Kind of crazy that this is only a 0.5 loss. White should keep pushing, and then we can finally jump. Now there is no more potential for problems here. One of the ways of avoiding that problem was when black tries to cut here. Maybe we could do this one. This is a bad exchange, but it fixes things. That's one of the ways of working around it. Yeah, white in the game tried to keep pushing because I think he wanted Sente, and he is also diminishing the value of the right side and also a little bit of the top. And in this way, he's also maybe diminishing the potential for territory around this group, but he is also giving it more strength. So Yu Changhyuk is probably not too mad about it. And they kept going, and each and every push after here, each and every push loses 1 or maybe 2 points. Yeah, even here I thought maybe it is better to finally keep pushing or doing something around here because this tiger's mouth might be too thick, but not really. So Bongsoo continues kind of pushing, but yeah, it wasn't ideal. It's better to take another corner. And he finally takes the corner, but it's because Yu Chang-hyuk kind of took it a little bit too slow in this area. He kind of can play this way because at the time Komi was only 5.5. So black starts with a point ahead. Yeah, you can play a little bit slack at the beginning with this Komi, I guess. Okay. Yeah, this maybe it's a Joseki at the time. I don't know. I was very surprised by maybe these attachments because maybe not surprised. It kind of makes this territory maybe over concentrated, even though it makes it a little bit thicker. Around here, there are more problems, but black will probably not have the time to come around here because now it's white Sente. Okay, so far so good. This was a very sharp move. AI actually suggests this. As a done player, I was kind of surprised that this was that much valuable. I don't know what I would play right now. Maybe play something around this corner. But yeah, the AI really likes this one. It likes this one a little bit more. But you can play here because the letter is yours. But once black plays here, the letter doesn't work anymore. White continues with this move because the fight is uh, better for him, but this letter won't work. Sometimes this net will work, but not here because this is Atari. Yeah, right now, black could cut, and I think AI likes this cut, and I don't know why he didn't cut, because playing here might, I think that's one of the reasons you play here, right? So AI doesn't like this move. This is the first real mistake in this game. This here is maybe too thick, and it threatens this group too much. And not only does it threaten it too much, but it eliminates all the territory around this area, the potential territory for black. If black responded like this and kept going for a bit, now this territory is solid, and it's still kind of a lot of thickness towards the center, and there is Aji around here. It's difficult for white to solidify everything here. Yeah, there's still Aji in the corner as well. This is the first instance in the game in which white could have played one of the squeeze sequences I made a video about a couple of weeks ago, which was this sacrifice. Later on, white will play this move, and black will play here, and white will be able to block from this line, and black will make some points around this area like this. But if white plays this sacrifice, cut and pull back, black needs to play here. Finally, black will be able to capture these stones. First play here, but we can block from a more forward line. Black gets a dumpling and is over concentrated in this area. Earlier on we could have Atari. Yeah, an extra benefit was making this Atari at some point. Yeah, with that same sequence. White decides to follow things up in the lower left with this Hane. And here we could have Atari here. It's pretty much the same as the game. And then come back. And this has pretty much the same evaluation as the game. After white backs down here, black could simply play here. And now white needs to Atari here first and then back off. Black can back off here. And now our capture has an extra push, the AB push, and that makes white a little bit thinner in this area compared to the game. In the game, black captured in a letter directly. Yeah, and now we don't have that extra push and potential for cuts later on. Finally, we get to the position where white plays this unexpected move. Maybe it's unexpected only for black because black didn't answer it well or didn't see the meaning behind this move. And remember that he didn't see or maybe didn't follow up on the hidden meaning behind this move, right? So when black played here, it was more or less a letter breaker for A. Maybe he didn't want to fight, but that's okay. And now I might have
given an extra tip when mentioning letters, because this move is a letter breaker for C. So when black plays its game move, white can finally go out. Yeah, black can't play here, and other letters won't work either. So yeah, but if you play here, it won't work either. When we analyzed this part of the game with Professor Jong, he told us that the consensus at the time was that black needed to play somewhere around here, especially this move, because if now white comes out, now it's a geta, it's a net. White cannot come out. White should maybe follow things up at the top. AI suggests this way of sabaki. This is a kind of common approach, sabaki approach to the 3-4 corner nowadays. And it can get kind of complicated. First, this one actually. Yeah, this one is better actually. I think this was the recommended way, and black can come here and white won't die. There are ways of fighting around here. So that's one of the big moves around this area. Another suggestion by AI is disattachment, because disattachment will help dealing with the weaknesses around AB quite a bit, and it also is kind of forcing because it's threatening to come out with the C stone. So black could either play here or here. If black backs down here, it's already a very minor win for white, and then white can just keep on going. For those who are asking about what weaknesses I'm talking about, it's mostly this. If white blocks, it's kind of an armpit hit, and it's difficult to deal with both sides now for white. So white could play here, and now you see white having this exchange is kind of useful for white. There are lots and lots of ways of getting more thickness if you have this exchange. Black is much thinner. White can deal with this area more easily. If we don't have that exchange, maybe like when we play here, black will try to cut directly, do something like this. Yeah, in the past, but more so nowadays, there was this, there is this Desuji for making Miai of either capturing, yeah, cutting around A or blocking around B. But in this case, black can play here. Kind of a brilliant move. And white, even though black has cuts, white has a lot of cuts as well, and is very weak at the top. So if white protects, black protects. And now we have this stone damaged by quite a bit. We're not like super happy with this result because there are weaknesses around C, and yeah, it's super thin. After 3, the toughest move to analyze is actually the most direct one, which is the direct rescue of V stones. Black could try to keep it in a net, but white can first do this Atari. If black comes out, then white can create a ko. Black could try to win this ko directly because it's super heavy for white, but it's one of those kos that you're gonna ignore just basically everything. This is a huge win for black, but the game is still very good for white. Another way of going about this is doing this Atari. Now white captures once, and black has this sort of ko threat. and it's going to be difficult for white to fight this goal again. So white is going to need to deal with this local area directly. And when black captures here, white captures here as well. And black is very thick, but if white just rescues the stones in the corner, it's all going to be fine and the game is still good for white. If white comes out here, the best way for black to handle the situation is doing this Atari. Then white can come out. Black tries to keep white in, and finally white finishes everything with an empty triangle. Black does this final surrounding move, but these stones will be dead. If white attacks from the top, black connects, and white can still rescue everything, but it's gonna be a dumpling now. This is still good for white. It's still the optimal way, but it's kind of complicated and it's gonna be a huge fight everywhere. And the last possibility for white is this other Atari. Black can go out, white connects, black goes down, and finally white is free to play elsewhere. This is the worst for white, and I think it's because there's too much damage in this area right now. Black having the one stone at 5 really helps this top group as well. Black continues with this move up top, and white finally rescues those stones. Black is now gonna try to get some center moves around this area to maybe counter attack these center stones. But white plays near perfectly, and there isn't much black can do. Yeah, from here, from right before this move, it was around +10 for white, and at the end of this sequence, it was nearly when they get back to the top, it was pretty much 20 points plus for white. From this move onwards, it was very surprising to see how a 20-point lead can vanish so quickly. But yeah, I just don't know. Yeah, it's impressive by black. Yeah, it's so strange. AI suggests this cut, and white could fight like this. And yeah, you can come out here as black, but it's complicated, and these stones are pretty much captured, so there is a little bit of air around here actually. Black was trying to squeeze the white stones from all these honeys, but after you play this one, it's either black who's gonna get squeezed in the center, or maybe there is a very heavy group in the center. This move, I thought it was a mistake, but AI doesn't dislike this. And already from here, you could just jump into the corner. And here still, you could jump into the corner as well and doing stuff like this. And now black is getting very thick, and I think white was trying to get more room and liberties around this area, and maybe he thought that this was already enough for him to win, and it is, but it's starting to fall into black's plan, as we are gonna see by all of these moves. Basically, white is getting curled into a ball, and black is getting its moyo expanded. So yeah, not ideal. And this is how you get back into the game, right? By doing 10 more points around here and diminishing 10 points around here. Black now even finds a Tesuji, and this is more like a Tesuji because it's super difficult to answer and super difficult to counterattack and very counterintuitive. So much so that it took me a while to find it with AI. And the first part of the answer, I think, is that after this double honey, if black plays like in the game, now if white plays like in the game, now black is kind of light. He doesn't need to answer here, and he's very close to his thickness, so there aren't going to be many problems, and there isn't much territory around this area anyways. And black now has Sente. So yeah, this is a very big move. AI suggests playing an Atari from here and now connecting from this side. And there are, I think, two reasons for it. The first one is more or less direct, and the second one requires a lot of reading, or maybe not a lot of reading, but maybe imagination. The first reason is that now black has a burden to maybe protect here, and white can play elsewhere, but it's still kind of big to protect the center. And so white needs to play something to protect the center, but not really playing the center. It's super strange. White should play this one. Black cuts, and now we're not going to play that squeeze we saw earlier. White's gonna play from here. Black cuts, and finally we get to capture these stones. We paid the price of having a bigger sacrifice on the bottom, but we finally protect the center beautifully. I think it's beautiful. What a beautiful sequence. And even if black tries to protect from a more distant way, it still works for us. Yeah, we can still capture this. So the very best sequence is actually to when white does this one to protect here instead of cutting around here, because otherwise we have Sente squeeze moves for white in this area. Even after black captures this, we still have those squeeze moves. Black should instead protect around here, and then white can do the same squeeze and finally capture those four stones. Now black keeps Sente and plays a very large endgame move. White plays a very large endgame move as well. It was better to play the squeeze. And now white continues from here, because I think he was trying to keep his Sente. He's still ahead a little bit, but it was better to protect the corner like this. Like this, maybe he has more eye shape on the left, maybe. So he can kind of ignore moves like this, I don't know. He's going to ignore a follow-up for black, but AI doesn't think it's good. Yeah, right away. So after black plays here, it was best for white to still play here and now capture this. The corner is still bigger, and there aren't really any good ways for black to take a lot of profit in this area because it's a mess. White can kind of rescue these stones with this group. And here might be the last way for white to still get enough of an advantage to win this game, which was try something in this corner first and then play this honey in Sente because there's too much Haji over there. And it's slightly better to do this one first because if you do this and then try and let's say black ignores and then we try to follow it up with living in this corner, now it's slightly more difficult to make things happen. I think that's at least AI's recommendation, even though playing the honey directly pretty much doesn't lose anything. In the game, he goes down to keep his Sente more directly, more clearly. But yeah, it was better to do the honey. Maybe he didn't think this one would be Sente, would work. It's still very big, but yeah. Yeah, from now on, yeah, after black plays here, it's a better game for black. There are some very minor opportunities for white, but yeah, black ends up winning by 2.5 points. And I'll share the SGF in the description. And that's it. This wouldn't have been possible without AI. I don't have the level of reading or whatever in Go that these pros, these legends do have and did have. Yeah, everything I analyzed here was only possible with AI. See you next time.